And good evening, good afternoon, good morning to everybody those around the world that are joining in today. Thank you for coming out and joining me, Digital Dragon, a loop in the Dragon Den. As you can see, there's something in the way. Um, this is the Voron 2.4 build that we have been working on. And as you will see here momentarily, she is moving under her own power. And come up with a name. Name is Fae Dragon, probably because of the purple pink color scheme. You all may notice back here that the CAN bus cable is still up here. It's extremely long because it's designed so that it can route through the cable chains. I've decided to forego the cable chains on the X and the Y. Lightens up the rail. I am going to go an umbilical. This piece will fit in the back with this piece in front of it. Just like that. And so this will be the pass through for the Voron tube and for the umbilical cable. So what I will need to do is once we're done today, I will take the printer back offline, shut it down, flip it on its side, and go ahead and disconnect the CAN bus cable from the UTC board underneath, and either try and depin the connector, or if I can't get it to pin with the tools that I have, I'll just cut the connector off so I can get the wires fed through the back port here, and then re-terminate and reconnect. The only other thing that's left to do, you may see I've got the spool sitting over here on a tabletop rail, would be to mount the spool holder on one of the sides. It's designed really to mount on one of the sides just like that and hold the spool holder. So we'll do that a little bit later. But she is up and running. This print may look a little funky. It's because I'm starting the process of extrusion multiplier tests on it. Oh, and hey, Chewy, thank you for coming in and letting us all know that there's going to be a Crow's Nest update in mainsail. Awesome. And Crow's Nest is the camera plug-in that's built into mainsail, or a plug-in for mainsail. So you might be able to, well, just about anything. I mean, in essence, your 3D printer with a mainsail interface means it's an IP address with a camera feed. So you should be able, you can reach that camera feed through a URL based on that IP address. Yeah, right now I don't have a camera set up in this. I do have a camera I can put in this. I'm just trying to figure out the best place to mount said camera before I go ahead and do that. I'm gonna have to look. You also see I've got the doors on. These doors do have, I mean, they are cut very, very tight. So there is a positive shut with a very, very tight seam. So you're not going to get a lot of air coming out the front. I've been wanting to put a chamber thermistor in here. So I started looking into that to see, what chamber thermistor designs are available for the 2.4 as far as mounting options. The only other thing I can do is to just take one of my pucks and throw it in the back or something where it's sitting on the bottom back where it's viewable. But right now I don't think that's such a great idea. But yeah, she is up and running. Once again, Fae Dragon here for those that haven't been here through the whole build series. This is a Voron 2.4 300 size printer. It's 300 by 300 XY and 280 on the Z by design. I won a set of print forward parts from Voron Design at Rocky Mountain Rep Rap Fest. And I had already had like the heated bed and a lot of the electronics components that I was running in a D-bot that I just took apart and scavenged for this build. We are running a Big Tree Tech Octopus 1.1 board with Big Tree Tech TMC 2209 drivers, Raspberry Pi 3B, mains heated bed running through an Omron SSR, a Big Tree Tech EBB SB 2209 CAN bus toolhead board, with a Big Tree Tech USB to CAN bus adapter. So yeah, I mean, it comes down to stability issues, Chewy, and also where in a standard like IP camera, the web interface and everything's right there and it's running. On like a Raspberry Pi, you're having to deal with the overhead of everything else that's running on top of it as well. So normally on my like C270 or C720, like I have sitting in the end of 3 over here in the corner right now, it's getting 10 to 12, maybe 14 frames per second. But that's all I really need to be able to look in real fast and be like, is the print lifting up? So, okay, so new RTSP feed option. Nice. That'll be nice. Yeah, so what I've done is we got her all up and running. I got the canvas tool headboard configured and swapped out. I did post pictures on Discord and Twitter. I think I put the board away. But the fuse, the ceramic fuse on the SB 2209 board itself, I did blow that fuse. So the board that mounts to the tool head itself is definitely toast. This is the same fan, so the front part of the two-part board system, it is the same one, so that is obviously still working just fine. So what I'm doing here is, so I'm starting to go through the commissioning process for a Voron 2.x printer. And that included deracking the gantry, which of course means untighten all the belts, take the side panels off, because you need to be able to move the gantry up, loosen all the bolts, drop the trucks so that it's basically just hanging on the Z-belts and square up the gantry. So we got that done. We got that squared and deracked. We got our XY belts retension. I still haven't gone in and done final tensioning on the Z-axis. Like this one's a lot tighter than the others. So I will need to tension these up as well. And I'm just right now, I ran input shaper using the ADXL that's built onto the SB 2209 toolhead board. And I've done some initial pressure advance, and I'm doing just extrusion multipliers right now to find the right extrusion multiplier for this particular filament. That is something that you will run by vendor, by filament type at least. Should be fine as long as your filament manufacturer has good quality control between their types of filament, PLA and PETG and ABS. So you shouldn't necessarily have to change that per color, but you may need to. So whenever you're flipping over to a different vendor or a different type of material, it may behoove you just to run some tests, just run extrusion multiplier test. And this is literally 30 by 30 cube at 3 millimeters height. So it's not killing a lot of plastic, but you will be able to see that extrusion multiplier 0.5 on this leaves a lot to be desired. So what I did was I just went 0.5, 0.6, 0.7, 0.8. Once I feel like I'm starting to get close, then I'll start shading on either side and going in like 0.81, 0.82 to get there. But I'm just kind of walking my way up from low to higher. I've also noticed that I've had some issues um, with tap. Well, I say with tap. It happens with any filament sensor, right? As far as I've got it set to the default, which is a 0.0075 tolerance for the quad gantry low. And there's times where it doesn't hit it or it throws off because it adjusted and it went higher rather than lower. So, okay, Chewy, yeah, definitely go get the rest of your parts. In fact, that'll be one of the other things we're going to do on stream today. Is I did have a few parts come in earlier today. So, starting here later this week, it won't be today. I'm going to keep this stream the 2.4 stream, but be on the lookout for another stream later on this week that will, hey, everything plus alter. Thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah, it's a pretty nice build. Um, I've kind of got a sort of close up down at the bottom, but I still have this piece back here to put in. The reason it's not in yet is this piece goes in from the outside, then this exit piece will come in from the inside, and my PTFE tube is going to come in through one side. I just screw in a PTFE fitting, and then this other side here is where my CAN bus umbilical will go through. And I'll have a nut that I'll just tighten down on there, straighten it. So yeah, and that's why I haven't put the spool holder on, and why I'm running a top desk mounted or roller style spool holder is because the spool holder is going to just hang off the back like that, and it makes it a little unwieldy when you go to lay it down or do things. So I'm going to hold off on doing that just yet. Yeah, as you can see here, this printer is moving. It has been pushing plastic. I will tell you, because it's going through a slow routine. So this is the printed part off the Mark IV. Right? Very nice print. Right? A little ringing, trying to get some more sliding there. This came off my Prusa Mark IV. This I just printed off of this before I had even done input shaping. Right? Um, so this is before doing any input shaping. with a 0.6 obsidian nozzle, so a hard nozzle. And this is in PLA. I haven't put any ABS through it. I've been working on just getting some plastic through it, and yeah, just trying to get some plastic through it right now. I've done input shaping using the 80XL on the tool head board. I've done pressure advance, and now I'm going through and doing extrusion multiplier tests, which is something you need to do 5-vendor filament type. Right? So right now I'm running Polymaker PLA through it. When I go to switch over and run an ABS, whether it's Polymaker ABS or another vendor's ABS, I want to go through and do the extrusion multiplier test. Once again, that's just really to get the nicest, cleanest parts possible. And folks, I'm going to mute the mic real fast. My sinuses just hit me. Give me 1 second. I'm going to bounce right off stream and blow my nose roll. Okay, and I'm back. Yeah, and like I said, that was before I had any tuning. I just pushed print and said go. I do it the very first print that I ran through it. I apparently down somewhere was, of course, a Voron cube, and I did that in Polymaker, Polyterra slate, slate marble gray. Oh, there it is. And for the first time pushing plastic and without any tuning, once again, this is Polyterra, which gives you that matte type of finish. Didn't do too bad. Focus. But anyhow, hey, Miss Dragon, how are you doing? Yeah, nice to see you. Nice to see you. So we uh we got it working. We got it working. And right now we're just working through some extrusion multiplier tests just to test, well, figure out what the right extrusion multiplier is for this vendor and this type of material, which is PLA. And when I go to do a different material like ABS, I would of course have to do this again, but it should be start where I was and just kind of move back and forth a little bit to find just that right one to get the best print quality. I hope things are going good out in Colorado, Miss Dragon. But yeah, this one is up and running and moving right along. We did get a care package today from our good friends KB3D. We got stickers, and this is the motion kit components that we need. So this is the belts, the pulleys, and the bearings. The 5mm, 5mm by 30mm shafts, and we got our another UTC for a CAN bus, and a EBB 36 CAN bus board. Voron SSR. And we'll say a plethora of linear rails. So we've got 3 of our cute little ones. These will be the carriage trucks for the bed. And then all of our larger ones these will be our 3 MGN12. I think these are 400s. And then our MGN12 300s. And these are the KB3D ones. And they, if I remember right, they all do come pre-lubricated. But I did get some EP2 grease as well. So we will have a lube stream as we start working with all these linear rails. He also hooked me up with a shirt. So for those of you that have been following, the next build that we're going to do is the 0G Mercury 1 with hybrid build. Uh-oh, still smoking with wildfires. That's not good. But this one's coming down from Canada, not necessarily any wildfires in Colorado right now. That's good. Good and bad. It's not really good to have fires. Yeah. The good old EP2 grease in the syringe, which makes lubing up your rails so much easier. And once again, an actual Voron SSR. But these are the last things that we needed to be able to get started on the 0G Mercury 1, which we will start that, like I said, later this week. There will be another stream this week before the weekend. Just because I'm feeling under the gun to get things done in time for birth. I need to get this one dialed in because I plan on printing a lot of the parts for a top fuel dragster on it. And one of my Prusa Mark IIIs made its way over to Evil Diesel yesterday. Yes, this is at a 0.6 extrusion multiplier. Come on, you can. So you can still see that we've got a lot of there's a lot of gaps in the edges of this. So we're still going to keep going up. It's a lot better, but we're going to go up. See if I can add some more lights. That will be one of the things I'm going to get when I get the wireless mic. Will be another like ring light or something that I can put up over here behind this other side camera. But let's see if we can get some light. This is at 0.5 extrusion multiplier, which I kind of expected it to have all kinds of gaps in this. This is at 0.6, and you're still seeing it pull away from the edge. It gaps right on the edge. Need some better light. I'll take some pictures of these a little bit later and kind of show them off. So, and all these they're the same file that's basically just sliced with a different extrusion multiplier. I'm going up from 0.5 to 0.6 to 0.7 to 0.8. And then from once I get close, like when I go to 7, it looks good. I go to 8, it starts looking bad, over extruded. Then I'll start, going right in the middle there and start working my way around, get the extrusion kind of dialed in. But these are quick little prints. They're like 6-minute prints, so they go through really quick. But yeah, we did get all the panels on. You'll notice, or you may notice that the panel colors changed up a little bit. I really wasn't happy with the purple ASA prints I was getting here on these rounded edges. And I started running out of filament, and I wasn't going to buy another roll just to do panel clips. So I reprinted all of the corners in the Sparta 3D Sparkle Fluorescent Pink, and all the middle tie downs remained to be the purple ASA, as well as the front door pieces. So yeah, everything is very nice and uniform. And it still adds a little bit of that pop and flare to it. Like I said, the doors close up pretty tight. The panels seem very tight. I really want to get a spare thermistor of some sort. I might just tape it in at the top here just to see what kind of chamber temps I'm getting. With this all buttoned up and running, ABS temps. The panels I got from Tensor, and remember the back panel, well, one, I got 2 back panels for whatever reason, but when I line that back panel up at the same spot where the rest of the panels are, you see how, let's see if I raise this up a bit. So I'm lining this up at the bottom with the door panel. You see how this goes up higher over the printer. This panel is actually about 1 centimeter too tall. Don't know why. I have provided the feedback to Mike at Tensor 3D, and he's going to keep an eye on them and just make sure that there's no other issues with the panels coming out. But it was the one back panel. The deck panel and the electronics cover panel were cut perfectly. So it was just this panel that was too large. And this size is correct, this cutout size. So all I did was I lined the other panel up, put some blue tape all the way around. And, so I made sure that it was protected from chip out. And then I used one of the clear panel sides to set the fence on my table saw. And then I just ran this through and cut the edge off. Just basically like 1 centimeter. And that way it's the same height as all the other panels. And they all fit perfectly. And the rear panel and the top panel get 1 millimeter thick foam. And then the side panels get 3mm thick foam because you need a little bit extra room for your gantry panels to be sliding back. Yeah, tall is definitely better than short. But like I said, I did reach out to Mike at Tensor 3D. He is aware of it. I told him, hey, no problem. Like I said, it was long rather than short, so I was able to cut the panel myself and clean it up and make it work. So no harm, no foul there. So yeah, like I said, the next step is just to I'll have to lay it down on its side, take the bottom electronics panel open, and pull the cord. Right now, I'm running the umbilical down the back and in through one of the the jack slots in the back. I can't remember the name of them right now. What and I could possibly, like put a male-female jack there. I could figure out how to do a male-female connector, but I really don't want a mains power connector in the back that could get knocked off or arc or something like that. So I'd much rather run the cable intact through the panel. Like I said, through the keystone jack. There we go. Through the keystone jack, and then plug it into the UTC, and then that way there's no way that anybody could. In order for them to get to the plug, they'd have to take the bottom off. If they yank on it, it's going to rip the plug out, and then therefore there's no power going. Danger. It won't be mains. Actually, it'll be 24 volts. We already figured out mains is not a good thing to feed to those two. So, Chewy, you said you just ordered the last parts for your 2.4, or you're ordering the last parts? Well, let me take a look and see who all's here today. We've got Chewy, Harley Ryder, Humbler John, Isabel, go with Jeff O, Hada, Lurks, Miss Dragon. Thanks everybody for coming in. Yeah, the prices were really good. In fact, there was one guy that I've been talking to, Boppy, and he's down in Australia. And unfortunately, Tensor doesn't ship to Australia. So, and he was looking at, there are some services that will allow you to ship to an American address, and then they'll forward it. And he's like, yeah, that was going to be way too expensive. So, because you pay standard shipping from Tensor to get there, and then an additional shipping cost for the reshipper, basically. So okay, you got frame and rails for 2.4. As long as you got printed parts, I'm assuming you probably have some types of fasteners. But yeah, it's definitely a slog. It takes a little bit to get the parts for. Yeah, I feel you. It takes a little while to build up all the parts. Not everybody can go and shell out, $1,500–1,600 for a good quality kit, and even getting something like a Cyborg, you're still, I think, with shipping, you'd be over $1,000 for even a Cyborg. And I've seen people who have built the Cyborg V01s or V02s, and those seem to be pretty good. I think I've only seen one review or a build based on a Cyborg kit for, I think it was a 2.4. So, yeah, not really much to compare to there. Yeah, frame and rails for 140. Well, that's like I said, I won the printed parts, and once again, that's the functional printed parts. Right, you're still going to have to print parts like your panel clips because that's not functionally required to push plastic. So you will have to do panels. You will have to do skirts. I think the feet, the corner feet are there because well you need those. Oh, you need the corner feet because of the motors, right? So you're going to get the corner feet, and you're going to have the one side for the electrical because that's a functional part. But all the rest of the skirts you'll have to print yourself to include the mount for your screen because technically, Clipper, you don't need a screen to print with. So you'll have to get the printed parts or print them yourself. But yeah, the frame kits here, like I said, it's a B stock. I'm fine with the B stock. This isn't what I'll call a garage queen or a hanger queen or whatever. It's meant to print. So if you're printing it and if you're moving things around, you'll wind up with a scratch or two on your panels at some point. Like I did notice two of my panels have a scratch on it. Yeah, it's on the inside. There's a little scratch there. I don't know if that's something I did or if it came that way in shipping. Like I said, I don't care. It's not like I'm going to clean these daily, you know. Yep, yep. Exactly. And quite honestly, Miss Dragon, I did have to buy some parts to fill in the blanks for the Trident. And I actually got the smoked acrylic panels for the Trident build from Tencent. I ordered the acrylic and the ABS panels and some red DIN rail from them. But yeah, this one is together. She is printing. I have enough done to her right now. I mean, technically, I think even with the umbilical the way it is, if I just had it running through the hole in the back, I could possibly still get a serial. But I'll wait. Like I said, after stream today, I will unplug, add I'll probably just cut the end off. So I've got a nice clean end that I can feed through the umbilical pass through, get the umbilical put in place, and sorry, that was it was a telemarketer call that I've been ignoring all day. And then I just noticed that I got paid from one of my people. I'll have to address tonight. But yeah, as you can see, we're getting really nice prints, the top layers. But let me just switch over. We're getting some really good prints, nice top layers. There's still some gaps, but there's a lot less as we go up. And I believe I was at like 0.85 before anyhow. Yeah, let's see if I can. So this is the 0.7. You can still see a few gaps on this as it's pulling away from the perimeters, as the infill's pulling away from the perimeters. So we're going to go up to the 0.8. Now I want to say I was at 0.85 on this before. So I showed you that one print that I already printed off. So we're pretty close at that. Yeah, I mean, I'll go for a serial on these. Well, hell, Blue Dragon, I think I had that built for 2 or 3 months before I did a serial request on it. Yeah. Serial requests not 100% required, but it's kind of nice, to get on the board. That and um there's some rooms on the Discord that are only open once you get a serialization, and I think it's by printer. Whether it's a V0, V1/Trident, or a V2. You also see I do have my lights working. So as it's heating up, it does show red and blue when it's cooling down. There's a little bit of wine from the two 60/20s on the side, but not a lot. And I did slow down. So one of the things I do is whenever I'm starting to get some inconsistency in the probing, I do slow things down. And I do see an ever so slight sort of rock back a little bit. So I may go back and you know, take the tool head apart and retighten some screws on the tool head. Hey, Robbie, how are you doing, dear? I hope you are feeling better. Um, for those of you that don't know, Royal Nomi's doggy, was it Piper? Or which doggy was it, Royal Nomi? Um, kind of tripped her up going down the stairs and she fell. And so she's been trying to rest and recuperate some. So, yep, Piper. And we are definitely sending you our thoughts and prayers for a speedy recovery. Love to see you at Murph if you can make it, but if you can't, I fully understand. I've had some vertebrae issues with my neck, and I know fully how that changes the way you work and move and everything else. Long car rides are no bueno at that point. So, but yeah, we've just been chilling. I did get the printer moving, as you can see. I've had a few prints off of it before I even did any tuning whatsoever. This was with the Polyterra slate marble gray. Very first print off the printer. You can see a little bit of artifacting right there, and let's see if I can get it. There we go. There we go. You can see some of the artifacting, a little bit of ringing from this corner over here before any input shape. Nice top layer. And when I built this, it is running a Revo hot end, and it does have a 6mm obsidian nozzle, which is the hardened nozzle. And then for another comparison, as this is going around and doing its thing. So this was a part for one of the top fuel dragsters, and this is printed on my pusing. Okay. Very nice, trying to get some lighting on. Very nice surface finish. A real ringing. Like that, right? Bottom looks nice and smooth, beautiful first layer. Once again, this is off the print, off the Voron with no tuning whatsoever. 0.6 nozzle, 0.2mm layer height, and this was at, I think it was standard at 0.85 extrusion multiplier. And so since printing this out and getting this printing out, I've gone ahead and did my input shaper, which is to take care of some of that ringing, right? So we've done input shaper. I did pressure advanced tuning. And now what I'm doing is going through and doing extrusion multiplier tuning to this specific filament. And once we get it close, we'll go ahead and we'll reprint one of the cubes and see what it looks like. Hey, K2 Kevin, how are you doing today, sir? Thank you for joining in. People are starting to get off work and filter in for the evening. So because I'm printing PLA, I do have the front doors open. The front doors, for those that are worried about, well, you've got front doors on it, and you don't see any foam on this, so there's no sealing foam. There's just the magnets. But I really need to close these at the same time, and you'll see how much of a press fit they are. This seam is very, very minimal. And because of the magnets, it does do a pretty tight fit. It's probably not obviously airtight, but it does fit really well. So I don't think we're going to lose too much heat out the front of this when we do start printing with ABS. Yeah, so K2 Kevin, this is the Voron printed forward parts, printed parts that I won at Rocky Mountain Rep Fest. They are Polymaker Purple ASA is the main color, and Sparta 3D Sparkle Fluorescent Pink is the accent color. So I decided, we went with the black frame because Tensor 3D was there. You do a Bang Tensor 3D, or their website is tensor3d.com. And they still have, I believe, some B stock frame kits. And by B stock, I mean there may be a little, I don't even want to call it a scratch, but like a smudge on the extrusion itself. The taps on the ends of the extrusion for the blind nuts are actually M6, not M5. So you have to get some M6 nuts. And the depth of the extrusion channels do not allow the spring nuts to actually spring forward and hold in place. The spec is a little bit too deep and off. So they're not like a straight Masumi frame, because if you put a rolling T-nut in a Masumi frame, it locks in the face, and you've got to really move to push it down to move it. So it made the assembly a little fiddly, but no big deal. I printed enough with or modified enough Creality printers in my time that dealing with some sloppy rails um, isn't too bad. And the rails were cut perfectly square on the ends, and there was no warps that I could tell, and they were all the exact same length. So everything went together well. Everything, all the panels are lining up exactly with with the edge of that inner extrusion piece. So all of the clips have gone on. It's sealed up well. Um, really didn't have a problem with the build other than me not having a part for a modification printed in time. Like I didn't have all the skirts in time, so I had to keep printing the skirts out um, between streams. We went ahead and we did relocate the X and Y in stops. So rather than having the XY pod down here in the front, the Y has been relocated to the back motor mount, and the X is on the back side of the carriage. And I just realized that because they don't try that. And that's where I said I am getting some failures in the QGL, and I did notice that the tension is off between my front belts. Actually, these three seem pretty good. This one seems more, this one's a little tighter. So I still need to go and get all four of my Z belts tensioned to the same. And that's just working at the idlers and tightening them up with the idlers. But yeah, so at Murph, I got the printed parts and I picked up a 300 size frame for the 2.4 and a 1.8, or excuse me, a Trident, for $20 each because Tensor didn't want to have to like cart as much stuff home. So the last day of the show, as people were starting to thin out, they were trying to sell off stock so they didn't have to cart it all home. And I reached out to Tensor afterwards and purchased most of the parts for this kit at a discount, and they gave me the fastener kit um, for free. They threw that in to enable me to do this stream, and that's why you see their logo in the bottom left of your screen, and why you hear me talk about them on every stream. It's not a full sponsorship, but they are a husband and wife team. They are a small business, and I am all about trying to help new uh, vendors grow because it gives us more options when we're looking for stuff. My first prints are looking great. This is the very first print off this printer with 0 tuning done. And this is a Polyterra gray. So it's a matte gray, which means it's going to show all the defects. And I really, really wish this would focus. Oh. Seeing a little bit of ringing and ghosting. Once again, I hadn't even done any input shaper or anything. Yeah, so at this point, in fact, this was printed before I deracked the gantry. So then I said, okay, it's time for me to get serious and start tuning. And I deracked the gantry. And this part here, so the gray part here was printed on a Prusa Mark IV with a 0.4 nozzle. I'm trying to get some lighting on. Right, beautiful top layers. Pretty decent on the sides and everything. Bottom first layer of this is just gorgeous. right? This was printed off of the Voron with a 0.6 obsidian nozzle. You can kind of see that first layer there, the top layer, right? Pretty decent size. And once again, this was done before I even did input shaper. Then I did input shaper on it. And I've been going through, I did input shaper, pressure advance, which input shaper, I did the shaper calibrate command because there is an ADXL built onto the tool or the toolhead board. This is a CAN bus board. So I've done input shaping, pressure advance, and now I'm starting to go through and do extrusion multiplier testing. Thank you. It was really, I mean, I'll say it was a time-consuming build, but that's because there's so many printed parts. There's so many moving things. When I get to the Trident, it'll be interesting because the first thing you start building is the gantry, and it's built in place, right? So on the Trident, the gantry is static, and the bed rises up and can do the 3-point tilt. Same thing with the 0G. The gantry static, 4XY static gantry, and the bed will come up and tilt. And I'm running a Mercury 0G Mercury 1 downstairs running on an Inner 5 Plus frame. And that's 370 by 370 by 420-ish build volume, right? And I'm printing helmets. And this was off of that printer. And you'll notice some of this Z-wobble, right? I mean, I'm trying to do harsh lighting to make it show up even more, but I mean, you can see this naked eye, good lighting or not. Z-wobble's there. I redid the Z with different palm nuts. And other than the fact that I had the filament break in the extruder, this is a print that failed last week after I made those modifications and just changed the palm nuts on the Z drive. So most of that Z banding is gone now from any Z wall. It's getting really, really nice, clean prints. Other than the fact that for whatever reason, about 40% of the way, the silk filament keeps breaking in the extruder on this. So definitely getting clean prints out of that. And that's with an Ender 5, so Creality frame, right? The 0G that we're going to start building soon, and I just realized this, and this is what I'm starting to deal with, is the QGL is having issues, and I don't know if it's just because currently I have my tolerance set at 0.0075 millimeters. So, I mean, it's hitting 0.01 really well, and then it'll fail because it either adjusts the wrong way and gets higher and fails, or it'll do something else. So I'm still tweaking with that. I am seeing an ever so slight kind of rotation, like front to back. So I'll probably take the tool head apart and retighten some things up. Okay, so the next build that we're going to start here later this week, while I move this over off the bench and continue getting it set up, prepped, and ready, because this 2.4 is going with me to Murph. I promised Tensor that even though they're not going to be able to go, that I will take this. I will, get some signage from them to put up and try and drive some business their way. Because, like I said, they were really good on helping me get into this at a good rate. I'll put it that way. The other printer I'm going to take to Murph is a 0G Mercury 1, and we will start that build later this week. In fact, I will push that over there, and I'm going to turn the camera real fast. This is the frame for it. This is, I ordered the frame to the right extrusion type and link specs based on the cut sheet, but they didn't have the cut sheets for the blind nuts done at the time I ordered. So I got those, and then I had to measure and drill and tap everything myself. Frame's all built, and that's beautifully square. Masumi rails are known for their squareness and being straight, no twists, and all that stuff. So that's full Masumi custom frame. We will be building the 0G Mercury 1 on that frame using LDO motors and an LDO Orbiter 2 extruder with filament sensor provided by LDO Motors Jason. We will be using a Big Tree Tech Manta M8P with a CB1 provided by Big Tree Tech. And then pretty much the vast majority of the motion system, the linear rail, actually the motion system, the linear rails, and the CAN bus board and UTC board were provided by KB3D, all of whom will be at I will be streaming this build live. It will be going to Murph to me as well. Hey, Solar 3DP, how are you doing today? And the colors for that are color for the Mercury build. So the 0G Mercury build will be Polymaker Galaxy Dark Gray with KVP Fluorescent Blue. So that's the 0G build. And then the Trident build, which will come a little bit later, is this is Sparta 3D Sparkle Fluorescent Red with Sparta 3D. This is Sparkle Old Copper. So this will be the color combo for the Trident. Sorry, I'm about to lose my mind, and I almost said something that would turn this from a PG-13 stream. Telemarketers are starting to drive me bananas. It's all people that are calling from Colorado because I still have a Colorado cell phone number. So now's about the time they like to try and call because they're trying to catch you at the end of your day. I'm doing well. Solar 3DP, how are you doing today? Hey, Dutch dude, how are you doing? So I was just talking to everybody and letting them know that the 2.4 is printing, as you can see. We're going through, we've done inputs, well, we threw a couple of test prints through it with nothing done, just run prints, try and make everything settle in. And I deracked the gantry, tighten the AD belts. I still need to tighten the Z belts. The one in the back right corner is, I feel, definitely tighter than the other three, so I need to go and get those tuned in. But then we did input shaper, pressure advance, and we're doing some extrusion multiplier tests right now. Try and get our extrusion multiplier for this. The filament I'm using right now is printed solid Jesse PLA in mystery orange. So, oh, you got your, and that's a standard Solar SV06, correct? Solar 3DP, not the plus version. Oh, that's right. You were supposed to go see the doc today, weren't you, Royal? Hopefully, all that went well. I haven't seen any updates on that. Got meds, lots of meds. Good. Good. Hopefully, I'm going to assume. Let me see. Possibly some muscle relaxers because those will be pissed off with the nerves. Something for an anti-inflammatory to try and reduce some swelling around said nerves. One or both of those may help with pain. Oh, not a problem, Oil Money. Not a problem. Gotta take apart. Gotta take apart my tool head enough to readjust the probe height. Something happened where I was about to do a manual input shaper print the other day. Broke one of your probe switches. Luckily, the PCB clicking comes with it. Okay, so you're using clicky probe then? Hey, my light, how are you doing tonight? Hopefully doing well. I'm going to look right over here real fast because I need to go ahead and grab another couple of models. What's one too many? What's so eight now, and we're still getting ever so slightly it's pulling away from the edges there. So we're still not there on the extrusion multiplier, so we need to go up just a little bit more. Get there and let it cool a little bit. Come in here and grab. The reason I'm going in here and grabbing the actual files is they've got the numbers on the bottom of them. Easy to write on them. Once we find, like I said, first number that we like. Like we'll run 9, we'll run full 1.0 multiplier, and whichever one we like better, then we'll start grabbing the smaller ones in between just so we can. This is using the Andrew Ellis guide. That's dude. Do you guys refer out to the Andrew Ellis guide for um, like print quality stuff? How to tune in your prints? Oh, I've got the URL for it. I'm actually going through it right now. That's what I'm doing. I just didn't know if you guys referred out to that or if you had a different manual or different thing you guys were using for the zero G book. Definitely getting close. Yep. Yeah, that's true. I don't use Orca Slicer Kit Skyfire, and I thought Prusa Slicer had some of that functionality built into it as well, but I don't see it in there, so it must be Super Slicer that has some of it. Finally designed something and got it to print right. Yeah, that would make me happy too. My life, what'd you design up? Yeah, so that's dude. I'm going to be starting my zero G build later this week. I don't know if it'll be tomorrow or Thursday, but I'll try and give some notice on when I get that started. I should have all the parts now that my cure package from KB3D came in today. So I'll be working on that. Yeah, true. And like I said, I just haven't gone over and looked at Orca. I know that's the latest flavor of the month right now, so I'll probably go and download it and take a look. Does Orca run on Mac? Oh, nice, Monlight. Hey, 3D. What's a zero G? I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I'm going to be hard pressed to compare to any of your videos on the Merc. So yeah, in fact, you'll probably. So this was a piece that was printed on the Prusa Mark IV. It will. will actually focus. There we go. Right. It's a stock Versa Mark IV. Right. First layer might be a tad squished, but still comes out great, right? This is off of this 2.4 using a 0.8 obsidian nozzle, excuse me, 0.6 obsidian nozzle before I even began tuning it. This is just basically, you know, doing words. I swear sometimes it was validating Z height, so getting my Z offset and first layer squish done up, and you know, running all the tests, the probe accuracy test on the Voron tap, which is a nozzle probe, and it is probing a hot bed, so the bed's at 60, and the nozzle I heat up to 145. There's a macro for Voron tap that will not let it probe if your nozzle or bed is above 150. And it does that to keep it from damaging anything. And the way I have it set up is it'll do a home, the quad gantry level, a home, and then it's doing the bed mesh, but it's got camp on it. So it's just doing the clipper adaptive mesh and purging. So it only meshes the part of the bed that it's going to print on. So you get really good bed meshes for just the part of the bed that you're going to use. I'm going, my plan is to try and do a dragster and a possibly a death racer as well, or the new version of it. I can't remember what we're calling the new one, the tractor one. But I wanted to build one of each. Yeah, the killdozer. There you go. I wanted to build one of each. That's kind of why I'm hard pressed to get a couple of my printers up and running, the new ones, because I have bigger build plates and I can start running some prints off in mass. That my wife's not here, so she doesn't realize that the core of the D-bot has moved down into the spare bedroom, and I stripped off what I needed to put this one together because this Voron 2.4 bed was on the D-bot 300 cube printer. All the electronics came off of that. What else? What else? There was something else that I think. But yeah, I mean that was always my intent. Is once I finally did a build, that one was going to get gutted down again. The bud boost sitting down in the kitchen, or excuse me, in the dining room, and the Trident frame is sitting on the kitchen countertop because that's where I use to squirrel my frames upright, because it's a flat stone surface. Yeah, I'm planning on bringing a dragster and a death racer, and Evil Diesel, who's coming up with me, may be printing a set for himself as well. So Edge of 3D did a video announcing the Top Fuel Dragster for Murph. And in that video, he has links to all of the files. You should be able to post a link, Edge of 3D, if you have the link directly to that video. Please feel free to post that. And then the files for the Killdozer, I believe those have all been uploaded to the Michael Badley Patreon, correct? Nice. Now, is it a your DIY printer and CNC, are those your designs, or are these just full up, ground up builds, kind of like you have to do for like a simple bot, or excuse me, yeah, simple bot, simple core, dbot. Oh, thanks, Pez. Yeah, so this is standard stealth burner. They've got a set of macros for the lights, and you can actually go and so what I do is I set it to red when it's heating. You set it to like green when it's printing. You can change whatever colors you want for certain events that you're doing. So you can look over at a glance and tell if it aired out or if it's doing, QGL versus a bed mesh versus whatever. There you go. Oh, you didn't even do the video. You just went straight to your Google Drive. Gotcha. Yeah, so there's the link to the Google Drive to go and get the files for the Top Fuel Dragster. It does have all the printed files. It does have a BOM or a suggested BOM. And it does have a set of rules. Please follow the rules. If you don't follow the rules, they will disqualify you and you will not run. Oh, nice one, Mike. Very nice. Yeah, definitely share it out when you feel like you're to a point where you want some ideas on it, on viability and stuff like that. I've got plenty of parts and printers I can tear apart and rebuild something else. Hey, shenanigans, how's it going? Yes, it is alive. It is alive. Like I said, Edge of 3D does have a video out there on the Top Fuel Dragster. He did put the link out there for the files to his Google Drive with those files on it. There is rules there, and please go watch his video, give it a like. But he talks about some of the rules in there, and the point is to go out and have fun, right? So if you get out there and you start getting too aggressive and get this win all attitude, you might be asked to not run. Just saying. I'm going to try to race a 3D printed drag car. So we'll see what I can come up with. Okay. Nice. Yeah, there are definitely going to be some great prizes for both the Dragsters and the Death Racers. If I remember right, Big Tree Tech is going to have some Huracan printers, and some other, controller boards and stuff like that. Polymaker, of course, is going to have some stuff. Is Fabrico giving some things? I can't remember. Yeah, go watch the videos. Sam Prentice did one on the new Killer Dozer design. They talked about the rules. They talk about the giveaways. Yeah, there's Pad 7s. There's Octopus controller boards. Like I said, for my Mercury 0G build, LDO Motors provided motors, which I asked for the wrong motors, so I then bought a different set of LDO motors, but LDO's got the motors. They got me a Voron 2 extruder with filament sensor. I reached out to Big Tree Tech about a Manta M8P and CB1 module. I will be providing my own drivers. And I reached out to KB3D for a lot of the other parts, linear rails, the belt pulleys, and the EBB CAN-bus toolhead board and the UTC module. I've got various other parts that I acquired to include the full bed and stuff like that off of AliExpress because I couldn't find anybody local that had the beds in. I knew Fabrico was getting some, but I felt like I couldn't wait anymore. I'm starting to feel the pressure to get things done. Um, so yeah, so I went out and got the other parts I need. So I have everything I need here. Everything's printed. I will be going with the standard EVA 2.4 toolhead board. I do have a set of somebody did a modification for the EVA 3. I do have those printed, but I am not going to use those this go around. Clear the fat, try to fill that up hot and work it. So this is our 0.9. Still seeing this. Come on, you can do it. Focus. Yes, focus. Uh, this camera is sweet. Anyhow, y'all take my word for it. It is pulling away just a little bit from the perimeters on this side. So it is pulling away just a little bit on one side. So we're going to go ahead and go up to a full 1.0 and check that out. Then I have a feeling we're going to be somewhere between 0.9 and a 1.0 multiplier on this. Here. Yes, Edge 3D does do some good videos, and you're like less than a year doing videos, right? Edge 3D. Not, told you, Follow, you might need another Anycubic Cobra Neo sooner than I thought. Yeah, Dad, I'm going to need another printer. Why? Because I've got deadlines now to do some prints, and I need them running 24/7 to get it done. Yeah, in fact, one of my Black Bear, which was my Ursa Mark 3S on a Bear 2.1 frame with linear rails on the Y, and a Revo hot end in it. That one went over to Evil Diesel yesterday. He stopped by to check out the new printer and took that one home yesterday because he needed to get some prints done for his wife for her work. And then, so she is one of the coaches and instructors at one of the local dojos. I can't remember which martial arts it is, but she's doing like custom cases for the mouth guards that have the gym logo on it and stuff. So he's 3D printing those and giving them to her to give out to people to sell one or two. So he needed to ramp up a bit, and he's going to start putting together a killdozer and possibly a dragster as well. So starting to start your own lure and tackle biz using your 3D printer. Okay, so you need less 2-1 print lures and the other for my soft plastic bait molds. Yeah, who is that? It's Chris Warkaki. I think he goes by the Angry Warkaki. I think he does similar things. He does his own. I don't think he's selling them, but I think he makes his own lures and baits. and he makes molds for his soft floors. Yeah. Yeah. So my plan, Scott, tell me if you think this is overkill or not, but I've got some Polymaker PLACF, and I was thinking about using that for the frame, and then just whatever standard Polymaker for the body, but doing the frame in the PLACF to help make it a little more rigid. Do you think that would actually be worse or better? Or a meh? In Dutch, did you ever get the Goliath up and running? Could say if you're still on here instead of over on Discord chatting. Still working on it? Oh no. Yeah. Sitting there on Discord chatting with you and Juan about it. There seems like a lot of really fiddly things that could go wrong with that install. Yeah, it seemed like a pretty nice day out here. I'm hoping for a couple of days with no rain because it's been raining like every other day, which sucks because that keeps me from being able to go out and yes, we got a couple of good days. So I probably won't stream tomorrow because I got to go out and start cutting the lawn before it turns into a hayfield. So your custom DIY printer is going to be a 500/500 build plate. Oof, that's going to be big. Is that going to be a single build plate? Is it going to be a flying gantry, kind of like the Voron, where the bed's mounted at the base? I mean, a 500/500 bed, if you do a Mike 6 build plate, that's going to be hefty. Because my 370 by 377, which is the Ender 5 Plus, Mike 6 build plate on that is like 8 pounds. A lot of mass to move back and forth. And of course, right now I've got the smaller feet on it. I really need to swap the corners out and put the bigger feet on it to give it larger surface purchase. So I got plenty of feet. Hey, Daddy Wazzy, how are you doing today, my friend? Thank you for coming out and joining us. We've just been sitting here doing some test prints on the new Voron 2.4. This is Codename is Fae Dragon. This is built using the credit forward parts that I won from Voron Design at Rocky Mountain Rep Rat Fest. It is a purple and pink design. The purple is Polymaker Purple ASA, and the pink is Sparta 3D Sparkle Fluorescent Pink. It's running an Octopus 1.1 with TMC 2209 drivers, Raspberry Pi 3B running the Mainsail OS. We are running a CAN bus tool head board on it. So we're using the Victory Tech EBB SB2209 CAN bus tool board. We are also using the Voron tap system, so we're actually using nozzle probing on this printer. That nozzle is a Revo Voron edition, running a 0.6 obsidian nozzle, because I will be running abrasives through this printer. I have some carbon fiber ABS that I plan on printing through here, as well as some nylon and polycarbonate. Yeah, you're gonna need bigger steppers, that's for sure. So you're gonna, 500 by 500. Yeah, you can probably do 27s. I know Ivan Miranda, when he did his 1 meter by 1 meter, I think was using even 32s. Yeah, Sparta 3D is very nice. That's why I picked up some others for the next two builds. The Mercury, the Zero G Mercury build that we're going to start here tomorrow or Wednesday, or tomorrow or Thursday, is going to be Polymaker, Galaxy, Dark Gray, and KVP Fluorescent Blue. Okay. And then the Trident, which may be built alongside the Zero G or maybe built afterwards, is going to be all Sparta 3D. And that's their Sparkle Fluorescent Red and Sparkle Old Copper. Yeah, if you can make it a fixed bed, it'd probably be better, because at that size, I'm going to assume you're going to be running mains power heated bed. And like I said, just that much moving mass and the size of the prints that you'd be able to do on it, you probably want it a fixed bed flying gantry type design. And probably I would say 9 mil belts for the gantry at that size. Probably go to 30-30 and 9 mil belts. Yeah, I mean, it does rock up. It does rock up. Because you're going like 2 or 3 millimeters to trip the sensor. That's where they said it's not good for like a switch wire, because the switch wire isn't rigid enough. You have to be able, I think it's like 800 grams of force for Voron tap. Yeah, Ivan Miranda. Yeah, he does some crazy stuff. Oh, the dog came in, crop dusted, and left. That's cruel. That is cruel. Nice. Okay, come on, Light. I believe what you're saying is you're going to take off and go talk to your machinist friend. Okay. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to pull this forward a little bit, get off that hotbed so it'll fall off a little bit. Yeah, and interestingly enough, he's got that 1 meter cubed printer, and I've seen him drop a teaser where he might be building something even bigger. So I'm like, wow, that's going to be crazy. So something you could potentially think about doing, Modlight, is something like the V2.4, which is the predecessor to the 2.4, and that's where Max used 4 300 by 300 millimeter beds. So it's 4 of these beds tied together to make one big platform with 4 different silicone heaters running through 4 different SSRs. And he has to heat them up sequentially, but that also gives him the ability that if he's only going to print in one quadrant, he only has to heat up that one quadrant, not the whole thing. But yeah, just realize the bigger volume you go, the harder it's going to be to heat that chamber if you're trying to go with like ABS, PC, or stuff like that. Yeah. Cool. So 1.0 we are fully closed on that top layer. See what you guys see. Let's see, especially if I and I'm really good. Bought the C9. Like, autofocus isn't going to work. It might be a shade over extruded. So you'd probably go down to like 0.98. Be good. But most of the stuff you're printing on the printer is PETG, but you're going to either do an all metal frame or printed parts are going to be in something more heat resistant. I'm playing with files. That's what do you guys think? What do we want to print? I think we're close enough. I'm just going to knock it down to like 0.98. But let's start a different print. Back with calibration stuff. We're going to do that later. What kind of fun print do you guys want to do? Anything? board just crashed? I'm not sure what your board is. Is that your board just crashed? Uh-oh. You mean one of your printers just crashed or what? That could be bad, Chewy. Or the MCU unable to connect. Um, Sometimes it's just a matter of shutting down, like powering everything down and then bringing it back up. Trying to find a good file that I've already got downloaded. All right, sure. Whatever's going on, you keep it over there, okay? Because my police association. Settings are at just going to send it. Yeah, so interestingly enough, Chewy, as far as backing up your configs, which is always a good thing to do, there's on the Voron documents site, down at the bottom on the community stuff, there's instructions on how you can basically back up your config files to GitHub. So that all you have to do is basically hit a macro button, or you can even set up a cron job so it automatically will dump your configs out. Okay. No updates. Correct. The last couple of times in fact, this one right now, I did not run any system updates either at the command line or through mainsail because I heard there was some issues with it was one of the libraries that had an issue. Let's try. It's trying. Okay, they did get that fixed. Nice. There we go. We can start running some ABS prints on this soon. Also need to find a 300 size Trident bed. For whatever reason, I keep looking around. I can't find anybody that's got a 300 size Trident bed, other than like Mandala Roseworks, and I don't want to spend that kind of money. It's weird. Like I can find places like on AliExpress. It's got the 2.4 beds, and it comes. You get it with the heating, the silicone heat pad, the magnet, and the build sheet, all in one bundle. But you can't find it for the Trident. I haven't quite figured out why you can't find it for the Trident, especially when the silicone pad that they're using will work on both the 2.4 and the Trident. I don't know. Guess I'll start trolling KB3D and West 3D and Fabrico and everybody again to see who might have it. Right now, since no I threw anything out there, I opened up and sliced the Cyborg Snake from Cinderwing. We will not watch it finish printing because I'm trying to get something a little bit bigger on here just to start running through it, giving it something to chew on for a little bit here. Folks, if you can give me 1 second while this heats up, I'm going to step right off screen and take care of my allergies. Be right back. Okay, Chewy. Peace out. Thanks for coming, my friend. Thanks for chatting with us. While we get this started, what's everybody else working on? Do we have any other projects going on in the background? How about you, Scott? Do you have anything new you're working on for Murph? Or are you bringing the all the belt printers and the yes, actually, how's the Ender 3 Core XY mod going? Uh-oh, you got a secret update to the Death Racer. Kind of like the Top Fuel Dragster too. And actually, have you got some more print time on that Core XY conversion for the Ender 3? Oh, gotcha, Skyfire. I can definitely understand that. It was in the 80s today with some cloud cover, so it was pretty. Uh, oh, nice. Yeah, that printer reminded me almost of like the 24/7 Voron, meaning it's tall and narrow, kind of like the frame for the Mercury build, right? It's narrow but tall, which to me would potentially have some resonance stability issues. So it's almost like you'd want to put some uh, feet out to the side that would expand the base a little bit on it. At least maybe that's just my memory. Very nice. Yeah. Hey, Stephen Poole, how are you doing today, my friend? Thank you for coming in. So this is my Voron 2.4 that we finally got built, and she is running, as you can tell. We've been doing some test prints on it, just little test chips to check out the Extrusion Multiplier and see where we're at. This one was printed without anything being tuned on it. This is this is using a 0.6 Obsidian nozzle on the Revo. And before I did input shaping or anything on the printer. So mechanically, it's printing pretty good. I have deracked the gantry, tightened the AB belts. I need to verify the belt tension on all the Z belts because I know they're not all the same right now. And do some more tuning and testing on this printer, but trying to get it dialed in sooner rather than later, and then start pumping out parts for a kill dozer and a top fuel dragster for Murph. Now, is the belt printer guy going to Murph this year, Scott? Or are you just going to represent all the printers? Thanks, Stephen Poole. This was a pretty nice build. It's a little bit longer, just because there's so many parts on it, so many moving parts on it with the flying gantry and stuff. But it really isn't a difficult build. The belt printer guy that did the Core XY conversion and the inner belted conversion and the Late's 3D belt printer, is he going to be at Murph, or are you just going to have a bunch of printers there to represent it? So you do see the gantry move. This does have the Voron tap on it, Stephen Poole. So it's actually probing the nozzle on the bed. So what my macro does is it heats the bed up to 60 and the tool head to 145. And the macro has a limit check that if the tool head is over 150, it will not probe. And that's to protect your PEI sheet, because if you are hotter than that and you go to do any type of nozzle probing, it will go right through your PEI down to the spring seal sheet. Probably take a little bit longer to get through here, but since I'm running in Obsidian, I just wanted to be extra careful. And we all know that hot ends tend to fluctuate a little up and down. That's why I went to 145 and left it there. I just noticed that. Sorry about people that are getting abs. I just looked over and saw it out of the corner of my eye. Give me a chance to snooze it in time. Okay, cool, Scott. Yeah, I'm still really interested in one of the belt printers. I'm thinking about doing an Ender 3 conversion to a 45. Just because. I think there are some cool prints, especially for like cosplay and stuff like that, where you can do swords and stuff like that that would be good. So you'd have to probably go on an end wall, because the wall, you see the walls behind me, they're short walls and I have a slope. I'd have to put on one of the end walls. first layer's been pretty good. Once I dialed it in, I haven't had too many issues with it. And I know on my Ender 3, over in the corner here, it's got the Wham Bam. So my Ender 3 is over here in the corner behind the chat window. It's in the Wham Bam pop-up hot box. I know I can print 2 or 3 days with it doing ABS prints, and then I don't know, the springs kind of give up a little bit, and it requires a little bit of retweaking, but still, for the most part, it stays pretty good. Yeah, really big dragons, big benchies, Titanics, HVAC bare filter adapters. Nice. Well, yeah, that's the thing too. Is Cinderwing has started to provide some of her files in a straight format so that you can print them really, really long. Which I think is cool. I mean, I could increase the size of this even as it's curled up to make it even longer. But yeah, I'm thinking, like doing cosplay for like Warhammer 40,000 and doing chain swords and things like that, or first layer of the Mobic extruder. Down a bit, see if we can solve that. I'm going to take you guys for a little bit of a ride here. So you can see I'm over extruding a little bit where it's little ridges. So I just dropped the extrusion multiplier down a little bit. I'll give it another pad, and if it still seems like it's a little bit high, then I'll drop it back down a little bit more. That's the nice thing about having the light is you're able to look in and actually see what your first layers are looking like. And if they're over extruding, you can either stop the print and reslice, or you can just go in to Clipper and change your extrusion factor. Drop it down slowly. Once again, this is a 0.6 nozzle and a 0.2 layer height. And have you ever printed a really big dragon on your belt printer, Scott? Now you've done the Titanics. And there's a company called the website's VoronKits.com, and they actually have Voron kits, and you can buy fully built Vorons from them too, I believe. But they have a belt bed system for it. It won't let you do like big belt prints, but what it'll do is you can do a print, and then the belt will rotate and move your print off the bed so that you can start printing again. So it's made for serial production of bed size prints, or you can print 30 on a bed, and it'll finish, it'll cool down, then the bed will roll forward, and you'd have a catch basin down here, and it'll just roll off into the catch basin, and you're cleared out. You can do another bed of plate full of parts, and that's on a. They only do that for the 350 size. They haven't done that for the 300 bed, 300 or 250. So there you go. I'll link out there, so now you know I'm going to have to click it. We did a time lapse. We're going to let's get started going through its first layer. Let's this is Scott's version of a big dragon. Time lapse one. Is this printed hollow, Scott? That's barely fitting on there sidewise, isn't it? Oh, yeah. Yeah, no infill and rainbow silk filament. That thing was huge. Well, the nice thing with that not being having any infill, I would assume that that would still, even at that size, would be over or under a full spool of filament, right? It's over 5 feet long. Wow. Yeah, that's got to be well dialed in to be willing to print something that long for that long. Okay, so there was a filament spool swap in the middle of that, or I haven't checked. Does anybody make like the 3 and 5 kilogram spools of rainbow silks? Never seen it. Okay, yeah. So you did have to do a filament swap. And I'm assuming everything articulated well, and you didn't have any problems with the articulation or the links breaking. Or I should say, what was the um, extrusion wall thickness of them? I'm assuming just like anything built, printing something that size, you were probably using a 0.6 or 0.8 nozzle. Uh, One pad failed. Two layers, 0.8. That's pretty thick layers still. We should have had good layer adhesion put together well. Yeah, I'm gonna have to stop this because you can see this side over here healed itself up. Go ahead and cancel the print. Go over here so I can start pulling said print off. Most part. I'll wipe it down with some alcohol here and get it going again. What I just did was sliced it, resliced it with a more multiplier. A couple of different beds. So these come off. I wasn't so impatient trying to get the first layer off. Well, you can see how you start getting lighter, and that's because of cooling off and the adhesion's going to just slide right off. They're just being patient. we go. There. How are you doing tonight? We are printing on the 2.4, which we just finished. And I fixed my faux pas from the last time where I applied mains voltage to a 24-volt board, which it got angry at me. It didn't like that. So now what we're doing is we've been running off some test prints, just looking for extrusion multipliers. Been doing some, initial tuning on any new printer. I did I calibrated the extruder, did input shaping, a few things, but here's one of the prints that I printed off this printer before it even any tuning got started on it. Trying to get the light just right so you can see that top surface finish. Very well, very nice, very smooth. This is with a 0.6 millimeter obsidian nozzle on a Revo. And this is a front piece for a top fuel dragster. Just a test print. I'm going to print it in something else, but this is a test print. Now I do have your new files downloaded, but I think I'm going to print those over on the Mark IV. I don't think I'll print them on this printer just yet. Not tuned in to do your new files justice. I will need to get one of those printed here soon too. Oh, hey, Everjack snuck in here. How are you doing, Everjack? So while this is getting ready and warming up, Britt, let me flip over to the other screen real fast. And bigger. This is doing its bed probing. It's just like a Versa Mark IV. It's using the nozzle to actually probe the bed. Yes, this is the colors on this are the colors that I won at Rocky Mountain Rep Rat Fest. These were Voron print forward parts. They are Polymaker ASA purple and Sparta 3D sparkle fluorescent pink. But while I'm going to print a dragon here, I want to show you this dragon that Edge 3D printed. It's going to go pretty fast as it was a time lapse. This is on his belted, one of his belt printers. Instead, it wound up being over 5 feet long, printed with a 0.8 nozzle, 2 layers, 0 infill, and took about 2 kilograms of filament. Yeah, I'd say Scott had that one dialed in pretty well. So on this, with the printed forward parts, so like pretty much all of the functional parts in here that you're seeing on the printer, all the functional parts, the gantry, the tool head and stuff, were already printed. I did have to print off the skirts and the panel clips and stuff like that. I do have the doors open right now because we're printing in PLA. If I go to print in ABS, I'll of course enclose that. My umbilical is a little floppy right now. I'm going to my toolhead board. I chose to run umbilical because I am running a CAN bus toolhead, which means there's only these 4 wires coming into the toolhead and going down into the electronics bay underneath. So, yeah. Oh, yeah, I bet kids would love this. I'm printing with printed solid Jesse PLA Mystery Orange because, well, it just arrived today. It was at hand. So once I print with a few more things and get these, get the belts to settle in, retention the belts, then I'll start grabbing some of my rainbow silks or other silks and start putting a bunch of stuff in here. But first, I think I need to print my killdozer and my top fuel drag stripper. So how are you doing tonight, Preachix Brit? And are you working on anything, or are you just chilling out and relaxing after a hard day of work? Or, I just turned around. I was like, it sounded like one of my other printers had started to print. I was like, pick off another one intentionally. Oh wow, yeah, nice. Yeah, this one's been doing some prints throughout the day. But when I wasn't in meetings, actually, there was a couple times I was sitting in a meeting, but I was sitting there on mute, just listening. Um, First layer. Add too much. Just a shit. Um, so Britt, are all your printers Prism Mark threes? Hey Rodney Mac, how are you doing tonight? Thank you for joining us. How about you, Stephen Poole? What have you been printing lately? I know you have a number of printers and some great prints you're putting out. Okay. Yeah, I've got my corner over here. So the big black box over here, that is my Ender 3 with a Wham Bam pop-up enclosure around it. And then next to it, which is kind of hard to see, flip this around real fast. Okay, so we've got the Ender 3 and the Wham Bam pop-up enclosure. We've got a Prusa Mark 3 down here. That's got the Bondtech extruder on it. Right behind the corner of this box is the Mark IV that I just relocated from up here down there. And this is a Mark III with a MMU on it. And the feeder for the buffer is actually right behind this printer frame. Rep box is sitting down here with the feeder for it. My other Prusa Mark III that was in a bare frame went home with Evil Diesel today, so he can start printing some parts for one. He has to finish printing some parts for his wife before he gets in trouble, and then he's going to start printing his Killdozer and possibly a dragster. And then we continue around here. We've got Red Dragon, which is an Ender wire, a Prusa Mini, and then my Voron V01 over here. So this is the one that's been going like this one and the Ender have been going nonstop doing the ABS parts for the Voron Trident and the Zero G Mercury, which is the one we'll be starting to build. I think I've come to the realization Thursday we can start that. And then down on the bottom there, a little lonesome trough is the TiVo Tarantula, which got me started back in 2017. Then I've got a Rook that you may have seen me build. Oh, thanks. Yeah, these red shelves are Craftsman shelves, or garage storage shelves from Craftsman, and I got them on Amazon. So they are, like the metal shelves like you would see at any big box store. It's got a wire rack shelf at the bottom, and the top is like a 4-inch melamine, but it's got three steel supports that go across between the metal upright. So it's pretty solid and sturdy. They work out pretty well. It's looking nicer first layer, and hopefully that one piece over here that get jacked up. The one thing I hate is you start to do a articulated design, especially something this big like one of the Cinderwing Dragons, and a layer or two into it, it pulls one piece up. It's like, oh, wrap the whole thing and start over. I've actually had it break when it's about a third to a half of the way printed, and had a piece break off. So what are you doing test prints of, Britt? Are you test printing that new file or a newer one that you haven't released yet? Might be able to see some of the stats on this. It's going. Relatively slow. This is sliced with 100 millimeters per second, but it's at these small sizes, it's never going to hit that, of course. Okay, some of your own stuff and some Fotis stuff. Okay, nice. Very nice. Now, I know you've been releasing your stuff over on Cults 3D. Well, have you been looking into the new things and Prusa subscription stuff? So Timor, the 0G, the rest of the parts just came in today. Grab some things here. My care package from KB3D came in today, so we've got tool head boards, got all of the flange bearings, the pulleys, the idler pulleys, the 5mm shafts and the belts, a bunch of stickers, and all of the linear rails. And our Voron SSR. So this will be using 3 different sizes of linear rails. We've got the MGN 12x14s. The Voron 14s by 400 millimeters. These will be for the Z uprights. We've got 300 millimeter rails that will be used for the XY gantries. Then we've got these cute little ones, which I think are MGN 9x180. MGN 9's 180 millimeter long. These are for the arms that'll hold up the bed. These are the last things I was waiting on to come in. And so I'm probably not going to stream tomorrow because I need to do some yard work. And so Thursday, we will start streaming the 0G build. Like I said, that frame is sitting over there, ready to go. I was just waiting. I mean, the first thing I'm going to start working on is the gantry system. So I needed the linear rails and the bearings, the pulleys to start getting going on that. So we'll start that on Thursday. Yeah, I know. I don't know where Thangs is on their subscriptions, but I know that they both kind of announced and launched relatively the same. So you need a 3D printer that does my art. Believe it or not, there is a design out there for a robotic mower that would be just like your iRobot that runs around and sweeps your floors. It's basically a motorized lawn mowing system, and some of them actually require a, like the electrical fence, kind of like you would for for dogs. or animals, the underground electrical fence to keep it within your yard. And then there's others that have a GPS system that can basically map your yard and run within the confines of your yard. So, you know, after I, who knows, maybe after I have a killdozer destroyed, it may get reincarnated and reused as something like that. My wife would probably flip out though. I've got a lot of hills in my yard. Yeah, so right now it was saying 120 millimeters per second on the larger parts of that. It's just doing that in. It doesn't get there for too much, but it does. So Pez, right now we are printing in printed solid Jesse PLA in mystery orange. And really the reason I'm doing it is because it arrived like 2 days ago with my Alien 3D box. So I get a printed solid subscription and I just started the Alien box subscription. And the other thing that I got was it's mixtape 24, but it's a black. It's a black filament. Oh. So yeah, I get a lot of printed solid Jesse. So yeah, that's another black filament. But my plan is to print the frame of my dragster in Polymaker PLACF, which is black. And then because I like blue and I've got like 4 spools of Polymaker dark blue PLA, I'll probably print that for the body. Yeah, it's an interesting orange. It's likely, yeah, yeah. Like I've shown my closet once before, but I've got on 3 shelves in the closet, a red box, filament on the open spools of filament on the floor. 10 spools of ABS stacked over here in the corner, a 3 kilogram spool of Polymaker black PLA. I know there's a handful of spools downstairs for the large mercury printer downstairs. So yeah, I my wife yells at me for buying filament all the time. I'm trying to tell her I have printers. They get hungry. The printers, right? Now I pulled back too far on the. That would be why. We sliced it with a different parameter and didn't fix the weapon effects. Oh God, yes, stationery and art supplies. And if you ever get somebody that's into scrapbooking, oh my God, because you can't just use regular papers with scrapbooking. You have to go and get the acid-free specialty papers. Otherwise, you could ruin your photos with your scrapbooks. Yeah, that'll get you in. And then my wife has been known to do crochet from time to time. So we got all kinds of yarn throughout the house. I do. Well, I've done counted cross stitch. I haven't done it in a little while, but counted cross stitch. So I've got two decent sized bags of filaments. And of course, oh, this calls for this anchor color that you can't get in DMC, so you have to go by anchor. And now that you've got a couple of, you start building up anchors, so you have all the DMC brand colors and then all the anchor brand colors. And then you never have the color that you need for a specific design, so then you're going out and buying more. Oh, yeah. Sorry about the reach. Gotta grab my water bottle. So, yeah, all kinds of hobbies. And so, yeah, I need to start figuring out something that I can print to put out on the table out at Murph. Now, you've been doing what? Multicolored coasters, Liz? Sure, Zombie will have Swatch trucks. Are you going to make it out to Murph print, or are you going to hold off and show up to Earth? Forgive me, because I know you have talked about it some, probably on one of your streams. Too many streams and not enough sleep lately. Yeah, there. The last 2 years, there was a pretty decent amount of kids that were there at Murph. And I tell you what, I couldn't believe the number of people at Rocky Mountain that were on the, I'll say the opposite ends of the spectrum, meaning we had little kids and then we had some elderly folks. And I saw some elderly folks because on Sunday I was walking out to put the frames that I bought from Tensor in my car. And as I was getting to the car, this this group showed up, and it was like uh, four, two couples, two elderly couples, and they were like, "Is this where that 3D printing show is?" And I was like, "Well, yes, it is. I'm heading right back there." And I walked with them back in, and it was, I think it was just odd to me to see, um, I'll say, people more senior than me um, showing up. So, only Earth, okay, gotcha, nice, useful 3D printing tools, okay. Tool holders or okay, yeah, that's pretty cool. Helmet cutters, yeah. Scrapers, yeah. sanding blocks. Okay. And think about anything like that. Yeah, because I've done some little sanding, uh, you know, the little ones that are kind of narrow, but only about like that, 2 inches long, very narrow, used for sanding smaller parts, right? Uh, you make those pretty fast and scrapers, unless you do like, well, I mean, there's many designs out there, but the person one will probably take a little bit more filament, uh, just because of the hex pattern and stuff. But it does add some visual. Yes, this one we are hitting 120 millimeters per second, fairly sustained over the larger pieces. So yeah, she is up in printing. Yeah, and that's something too that I'm also looking for something that's decent, but yet still fairly small enough that um, you can put multiples on a build plate, whether it be something like this, which is 300 size, or my 0G, which is based on the Inter 5, which is 370 by 370 build plate. Because that you can get multiples out in one plate. And if you have explode objects, if one starts to let loose, you can easily exclude it and still print the rest. And yeah, just get some nice smaller prints kicked out that you can throw out on the table for everybody that's coming through. And for those of you that were on one of my previous streams where I talked about the Heavy Mandalorian Spartan helmet that I did, right? And the Polymaker Silk Chrome. So I cleared out the extruder in the hot end and I started reprinting it. And I had the same issue about the same spot. So it is still sitting on the printer. I shut it off. I walked away. The plan is I'm going to measure the height and then just try and set the file up in the same orientation, make the slice at that height, and just try and reprint the top and hopefully match them up and glue them together and hopefully get a good helmet out of it. Unfortunately, you'll probably still see that seam all the way around, which will look funky, but I'll have to try and work through that. Maybe I'll wind up having to paint. I was hoping I wasn't going to have to paint that, but maybe I will. Ooh, TPU butterfly. Nice. That's what Bezliz could do. She can take all the butterflies off her wall and switch it up to a different print file and just bring some of those. Uh-oh, did I lose my voice or did you lose voice? still seeing voice. I don't think I stepped on this. It should still be good. Anybody else hear me, or did we lose audio? Okay, you need to print them differently. Gotcha. Okay, can you hear me again, Timur? And yeah, this is the other thing I need to tidy up. So this is the CAN bus cable that goes to the tool head. It's just way super long because it's made to go through all the cable chains, and running it in umbilical, I don't need that much length to it. So I do have a couple of printed pieces here that will fit in the back. So when I'm done with this print, I'll be able to take everything apart because I need to unpull or remove this cable from the electronics bay, snip the end, run it through the flange over here, and then I'll cut it to length and re-terminate it for connection to the USB to CAN bus port. And then this side over here, which is the little bit larger looking hole, this one will get a standard PTFE compression connector. I'll install one of those and then be able to run my PTFE tube and then the CAN bus, and then I'll probably put a couple of zip ties on them to hold them together between the back end and the tool board. But yeah, we're just printing away. And this is, like I said, this has been really rigid. The frame squared up real nicely. The frame on the Trident squared up real nicely. So yeah, it's just a matter of getting them built and getting them chewing on some good filament. Okay, so Twitch hung up on your end? Gotcha. Yeah, so I was saying I've got the parts printed out here. And these are two different parts. So the pink part will come in from the back side, and the purple part will come in from the front side, and they'll interlock. They'll be screwed together. But this hole will take a standard PTFE compression fitting. Then the PTFE tube will go through here. This hole, there's a nut that'll screw onto it, but I'm going to run the CAN bus wire through here. So I'll have to, when this is done printing, I'll lay it on its side so I can get to the electronics compartment. Take the connector off the microfit connector so it won't fit through here. I'll have to cut the cable anyhow, route it through here, cut the cable to length, and then re-terminate it. And that way my umbilical will run up through the back piece here, and then I will have a fully sealed chamber. So that's the only other really big mechanical thing to this. And then I'll start running some ABS through it. And eventually I'll run off Nevermore, and I'll install a Nevermore right down here. That'll go down through the same hole that the bed wires go through in the back there. And I'll start running a Nevermore for filtration. And so really, this particular printer will become a dedicated, I'll say, ABS, carbon fiber, polycarbonate type printer. anything that requires high temp or braces, because it does have the Revo Obsidian in it. And my 0G Mercury 1 downstairs is based on the Ender 5 Plus, is going to be my dedicated like helmet printer. Prints off my big helmets and stuff. Because that's an open air PLA box machine. And then my other 0G, which I'm getting ready to build, is going to be enclosed. And I will probably just get and cut my own panels. I do have a laser engraver, so if I wanted to engrave anything on them, I can. So yeah, I may wind up taking these down and engraving like the printer's name and the like serial number and stuff on the doors. And then maybe down at the bottom do like the Tensor and the Voron design logo and stuff like that. We'll see. Those are later things. Get it up, get it functional, get it printing, and then do some printing. Royal Nomi, if you're still on here, by the way, I still owe you pictures of some gnomes. My wife, we cut out some little gnomes on our CNC. And this dragon painted them up and stuff. And there's one in the, I'll say the shed or the woodworking shed that's supposed to be for good luck. And then there's one in the garden that watches over the garden and keeps the bugs away. So we've got a few of them out and about around the house and the yard. Okay, so you want to see how to build them as economically as possible and also make them standalone as they will be done. Okay, so unless you can get somebody to sponsor you and provide you some parts, the um, the linear rails, I'm going to say you're probably going to get the Chinese rails, whether you get them from AliExpress or uh, Amazon, it doesn't matter. The lower end ones on Amazon are coming from China. You're just going to make sure that you need to clean them and re-grease them. Flush out the. You almost want to really pull the bearings and flush out the channels really good. Blow them out with some air, if you have some compressed air, to try and get all the moisture out so they don't rust on the inside, and then set your balls in there and remove them. Wow. Yeah, I mean, you're probably gonna source parts that way. Because yeah, it's not an inexpensive build. That if you do just the Mercury and you still run the standard um, Z gantry, it's not too bad. If you start going to Hydra, now you're talking about 3 motors, 3 lead screws, which means now you've got 6 total um, stepper motors, which is a little bit more expense. And that also means you can't run like an SKR board, you're going to have to run an Octopus, a Manta M8P, a Spider, or something else that has 6 drivers. Because if you can get away with a 5-driver board like one of the SKR EZs, like the SKR3 EZ, which is 5 drivers, or the Manta M5P, right? But you'd have to run CAN bus, which still means additional electronics. Which, you know, if you're donating them, you just have to be cognizant of maintenance and stuff like that when you hand them over to people. You know, thing like the Bugaboo, it's an extruded frame. It uses Ender 3 parts, or can use Ender 3 parts. And you can get into that at a cheaper price point than doing something like a 0G. You just need to know what it is you're trying to do. And folks, I apologize. I did get a message from a family member, so I am going to need to go ahead and call the stream. I will post a print when this is done. This is, I think, like a multi-hour, like an 8-hour print, so it'll be done at like 7 in the morning. It's telling me the ETA is 7 in the morning. See, the clock's wrong on the Raspberry Pi or something. I didn't think it was going to take that. But yeah, I am going to need to jump on out of here. So let me see real fast who all is on right now that we could potentially read out to. Okay, so you're going to use laptops, so you won't have to deal with like Raspberry Pis and stuff. Gotcha. Let's see real fast who all is on. So Subsector, Dave Ross. Ted Heresy does some big stuff. This room looks like she may be on playing Destiny 2. Minecraft is playing Sims. So does anybody have any ideas for where they want to go? We're playing games. Okay, Subsector just started. Good. About 19 people there. Let's go on ahead and raid over into Subsector, everybody. Please hang out with me and go with the raid. And show Subsector some love. Thank you all for being out here tonight and hanging out with me. I appreciate you all being here. And like I said, Thursday night we will start the 0G build. Thank you very much, Creative Expert. I'll probably see you throughout the night here. But I will start the 0G build on Thursday night. So look for an off night notice for a new stream starting up. And thank you all for coming out here. I've started the raid over to Subsector. Thank you so much. And let's raid over there and shock her with some numbers. And y'all have a good evening. Thanks a lot. Bye now.